Hello everyone and welcome back to Satisfactory. In the last episode, we were able to complete the top of our mega base, and we were able to make a pretty cool storage space to go along with the top of this mega base. As well as we put 3 power augmenters into an indoor facility to augment as much power as we possibly could. But in this episode, it's going to be all about continuing the mega base build. We have lots to do. Basic production to do, smelting and other things, making sure that we get all of our chew and beep in the right area, as well as fill out some of those logistics floors so that we can fill up our storage space as soon as possible. So if that is something that you're into, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and let's jump in to Satisfactory. Okay, so one of the first things I want to do is get some hypertube cannons up here on the top. This may not be its permanent location, but I need to be able to get around. Now this first one here, it's probably going to be the one that shoots us a shorter distance, but this one here, we already know that it shoots us quite a bit of distance. It gets us from the grassy plains all the way to the crater lake. So it might need a little more power to get us to the dune desert, but it may not. So we're going to test these suckers out from this kind of height. I don't know if height has anything to do with anything in this game, but we're about to find out. All right, so just with our standard blueprint and a exit on the end, we'll see how far this actually takes us. I believe we'll probably clear the red forest without even trying to get over it. Or I could be wrong. Nope, 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 trees, nope, trees, nope. Okay, all right, okay. Okay, we're over. All right, Titan Forest, good. We're giving it a little bit of gas, and it looks as though, to be honest, we're landing right on the edge of what would be, the Spire Coast. I believe with a little bit more effort, we could probably get ourselves over here, but this is actually a decent amount of space. And, turbo power slug. Nice. What a shot. Okay, so I added a few more to our basic blueprint and I left the other one by itself. So now it's a lot longer. Let's see how far we go now. That is a good distance. And we could probably keep going if I really wasn't pressing backwards so much to land. All right. Man, takes us all the way over here. Definitely will get us to the Spire Coast. So that pretty much puts us on the edge of the map. Now, that's awesome. That was a good guess. Oh yeah. And now we walk back. Alright, home again, jiggity jig. So referring to our sign here, storage in my stuff is nearly complete. I believe that there's a few other things that we'll probably put up here. Don't know exactly what those things will be at this moment, but it's almost done. The main part is done. Hypertube cannons, well, it looks like we got those on the same floor, so that's a check as well. Space elevator parts, well, we'll do that at a later date. I think really what we need to get into is the basic smelting. Just get all those pure recipes and make sure that we can wash some rocks. The other thing is we need to fill in some of this empty space. Yeah, this is a lot of empty space. And I've kind of come to a decision that I want to try to square things off. I want to make a few adjustments to how this looks or how it looks as it comes up. I think having this multi-tiered tip in it's just not going to cut it, Chief. So what I'm thinking about doing is just squaring this off to maybe here or even over here. Not quite decided exactly yet, but we can tier that in as we need to. So when we put in our floors, we'll know how far over this way into this area we can go. But yeah, I would really like to square this corner off and maybe even square it off to the edge of our building. And if we really can, square that whole top off at the end. And if it goes up in tiers, kind of poking out a little bit farther, that'll be fine. If it's on the inside that we have to deal with the zigzagginess of it, I'm okay with that, just as long as the outside kind of looks like almost two different buildings. The same goes for over here. I'm going to square this off on the top and then just go straight down and into there. We'll keep this indentation here or modify it a little bit, but for the most part, we just need to fill in the floors. Now, as I said before, we need to go up about 8 foundations and then make our next floor from there. Now the good thing is we have blueprints, and blueprints make this a lot easier. So the first thing I want to do once I find my floor height is just kind of zoop the edge. Now that we kind of know where the edges are, we can just use one of our handy blueprints here to fill in the floor. We already have a 5x5 4 meter, and just like in the past, what we'll do is kind of line this thing up where we want it, click it into place, and then from there switch to blueprint mode and just start hammering through the concrete. This is going to burn up tons of concrete. I'm glad we have those extra bins. When we get to the edge where we don't want to continue our own blueprint, we'll just make a turn and keep rocking and rolling. And then before too long, you've filled in a giant square of concrete. I did go ahead and fix the ins and outs as we went up. As you can see, it looks a lot more square here at the top. As far as the other floors go, it looks pretty square from the outside. And like I said, we'll deal with these ins and outs that kind of come in different places. We did have to hide a bit of rock in some places, but it looks okay. I just added a bunch of those angled pieces that just make it look like an indent. Maybe we can do something with that. Hang a sign there, I don't know. But for the biggest part, all of the floors, they're filled in. And we still have plenty of concrete left over. Man, we made a lot of concrete at the turbo fuel factory. But really the next thing we need to do here is gather up all the raw resources that we're going to need. All of the iron, all of the copper, all the quartz, and any other resources that we need. But we desperately need something to get all that done. And that's the Choo. I have an idea of how we can get a lot of materials back to base really fast and effectively, but we're going to need the Choo to get that done. So let's go ahead and select that milestone and go gather up the things that we need. We're ready for launch. This is great. What do you have to say, Ada?
Milestone reached. Trains are excellent for efficiently moving vast quantities of parts. Train logistics can be made more precise and complex with tools found in the railway signaling milestone. I listen to all my pioneers, often when they're not even aware of it. So due to popular demand, I have added a motivational message. Choo choo mother.
Oh, mercy. Ada. That's completely unnecessary. But now with the train station unlocked, we should be able to gather up all the materials in the local area that I want to get. And how many materials would that be? Well, it's gonna be a lot. Because you see, if we go here to the Satisfactory calculator and we put in the things that we want to see on the map, we have lots of copper, 2 impure up here, which we might go gather, but it's not really necessary. Okay, Tyrium that's pure, lots of coal that we can gather up and bring across. More limestone than I know what to do with, really. The quartz is over here. We could probably pick up a sulfur node if we need to. As well as there's some materials that are close to base that we'll probably gather up as well. I believe we'll need more iron than anything else, and we can use iron for iron wire if we absolutely needed to. But my idea is pretty simple, is to put some kind of train station here and then bring the Choo all the way through and into the base in this area. It's probably not going to be easy to path all this through, but my idea is pretty simple, just to put a back and forth train that goes and gathers the materials and brings them back to the base. Nothing too difficult, no pathing necessary, no stop and goes, just here and here and then back and then once more and keep doing that for the rest of eternity. Now, once we bring all the materials back here, it'll be pretty simple just to exit out here and go up until the next floor, that is. And if it needs to go higher, it can keep going. That sulfur node that's over there, we can just take it out of here, go up to the weapons floor, and so on and so forth. The coal can go up to the foundries, and the other materials can go where their respective places are. It shouldn't be too difficult. The difficult part is getting through all this wilderness with a rail. Now, what I'll probably do is just generally fill this in for now. We can make it look good later. We'll also have to figure out which trees exactly we want to take down. I kind of don't want to take all of them out. I want to leave some of the natural environment around if I can. I kind of am a big fan of just nuking it all, but I do want the leaves and I do want the trees right now. I want to make some of that liquid biofuel here, and this is probably the best way to do it, is to hold on to anything that we destroy as we're progressing and making the factory bigger. Now, laying out rails, it's not too difficult as long as you remember a couple of things. Number one, give your trains 3 tiles to turn on. So if I want to go up here, I just need to make sure that wherever I go, I have 3 tiles of space to make this connection. Now, I have way more than 3 in this particular area, which makes it a nice swooping curve. But the rule of 3 is always the best way. So for an example, I'll show you it's 1, 2, 3 to this tile, and it's 1, 2, 3 as well to this tile. So however you want to think about it, 2 in front and 2 in front plus 1, or 3 tiles. I just think of it as 3 tiles. If you try to go a little bit sharper than that, it's just never gonna let you do it. And then if you try to do this weirdness where you connect the 2, it's just too difficult. But the rule of 3 connects perfectly every time and gives you the sharpest turn that I believe you can have. There may be ways to make it sharper, but I don't know them. Now, the idea is pretty simple. We'll come straight down this area and into a train station that's probably right here, about here, somewhere in this area, and it'll probably fit in the length of this, and then we'll gather up all the materials from around here and ship them all into one place. We just have one last thing to do over here. Let's get rid of the local riffraff. Okay, and now with the locals dealt with, it's pretty easy now. We just gather up all the materials around here. There's a coal node that's back behind this wall, there's the caterium that's up there, a couple of coal down here, and then there's some quartz over in this area. I believe there might be a sulfur node around here as well. We'll probably pick that one up as well. So we just need to build a big train station right over here. No problem. Boom. Train station completed. And we even got it off the ground a little bit. I do enjoy it being off the ground, that's for sure. And just like I said, we're gathering up all of the materials. We had some limestone and quartz coming from this direction, and some caterium and coal coming from the other direction. Now, I left myself some signage so that I would know exactly how much of everything I've got going on here, because I'm going to be honest with you, it was not a fun adventure on some of it. There's a couple large logistic towers that had to be made up, and yeah, it was fun just hop, skipping, jumping up and down to get up there. I ended up putting a ladder in the long run. The caterium was much of the same way. Yeah, we just put a big belt that goes across and into this. Easy peasy. But for the most part, we've got plenty of stuff coming in. 1,500 coal, 600 caterium, 600 lime, 600 quartz, and another 600 quartz for a total of 1,200. That's a lot of materials that we put on this train. But now we just need to set up the train logistics. So of course we start with the engine, and then we just need freight cars. Lots of freight cars connecting to this. And then here at the end, we just need another train that'll go back the opposite direction. It's a to and from, so no matter what, we need 2 trains for this. One to pull it into the station, and then another one to take it back. Now, setting this up, you only have to set up the one train. We really only have 2 stations, the main base in and where we're at currently. So, edit the timetable, main base supply, we'll add that one, main base in, we'll add that one, save our changes, and turn on self-driving. And right away we can see it starts loading all the materials up in the train. And then before too long, we've got all the materials we could ever want back at base. And the amounts and logistics of this, it doesn't matter. It's just enough to make everything that we want to make. The throughput is not an issue. Once everything's loaded, quick little beep, and they're off to get more. And now we have tons of materials. All right. So now that we got our Choo going, what's the next thing we need to do? Well, there's a bunch of iron and copper over here. And we can use this nice little hole to get some logistics from this part all the way over here. And since we already got the logistics here for our road, we can use the road and pipe over all of our oil underneath this. It's kind of the reason I made this so big and so wide. We can just pipe everything we need up underneath the road and then bring it up and over. So let's build ourselves a logistics bridge. There's 3 iron nodes over here, so we'll gather up all 3 of the iron. There's different mixtures of purity and normal. Then there's a real sneaky copper node right over here. And then because the base is so close over here, we'll go ahead and have a single tile that comes out, and then we'll curve this thing along. Now, if you haven't seen me do it before, there's a pretty easy way to make gentle curves in the game. You get yourself a catwalk intersection here, and you just put it down. Then you hold Control and line those 2 up, and then go 1 click to the right or the left, whichever way you're turning. Since we're turning to the right, we'll go to the outside, lay this one down, and keep going. Turn it to the right, keep going, hold Control, and keep going. Now, this will make it to where we get a nice gentle curve that'll line us up very nicely out there. You may curve it a little bit and then decide you want to go out a little bit more. And then when you want to start curving again, hit Control, make the curve, and for too long, you've missed everything you want to miss. And it's a nice gentle curve over to where you want to go. Now, sometimes you might want to see where it's going to lie. So what I do is I just zoop it over there. And if I get out here and think, no, I want it to be a little farther over, well, I just go back and erase what I've already done. And then before you know it, you've got a nice little logistics bridge. All of the iron comes in and goes up and over, as well as the copper coming back from behind that rock. That tricky little copper. Can't get away from me. As well as we went back over here and readjusted some of the oil, and that way we could have a full 300 line coming all the way back to base. I can imagine we're going to use some of this oil for plastic or fuel, or I want everything made in the main base. But everything comes up here and goes into these small frame pillars. I didn't want to have it laying on concrete. That way it looks a little bit better, like a big frame that comes across here. I don't know. It just looks cleaner to me. I don't know. You tell me what it looks like in the comments down below. If you like it, that's all that matters to me. Now, I could use the small frame pillars right up until this point when we had to start curving it. So that's why we have all the concrete here. But I think the transition is good. I think it looks nice. Unfortunately, the small frame pillars don't really fit well on the pipes, so we didn't do that. But anyways, everything goes up and around where it's supposed to go, and it all comes into one location, right here. And it's all labeled so that we know what it is and how much of each item, which was pretty easy because they're all 600 items coming in and a 300 pipe. But that's neither here nor there. So now with everything here but Sam, we'll get that later. We just need to pick all of the recipes for our pure ingots. Wait, oh no, we don't have all the pure? Well, the good thing is I've cooked a lot of hard drives and we have lots to choose from. So I think we'll go through and maybe choose a few of these recipes now. We definitely want the pure Caterium ingots. That's an incredibly good recipe. Caterium is an incredibly limited resource, and with its other recipe, it's 3-to-1. This one is a 2-to-1, much better recipe. As well, we'll get the pure quartz crystals. Again, it's much better. This is 3-to-5, this is 9-to-7. Overall, a much better recipe, and all we have to do is provide them with a little bit of water. Another recipe we'll grab up is this steamed copper sheets. This one is very good as well. It may not get used now, but it'll come in real handy in the near future. Recycled plastic? Yes, we will definitely be using this one. I have some big plans for a giant plastic and rubber factory. I think I'll take the 6 inventory slots on this one. I don't really know if I'll ever use the cast plates, but we'll unlock it again later, I'm sure. This alternate AI limiter, well, this one's pretty good for me as well. A little bit of quick wire as well as a little bit of plastic, and I get way more limiters. I think that overall this is a good recipe and it could come in handy in the future. But for now, we'll just go ahead and save the rest of the hard drives for later use. Maybe we'll find something we need to rescan a hard drive for. I think the next thing to do would be to get some of that water up and onto that floor. How much water? Well, I don't know. Let's start with 2 600s and we'll go from there. We'll see how much we exactly need. Now, this is our center point that we built our entire base off of. And this is going to be the edge of the wall over here. So I think if we just zoop out some foundations this way, we'll have ourselves a really good spot to kind of get an idea of where we want to go with all of this. So I'm gonna come out maybe 2. That way it gives us plenty of space to do some walking if we need to, or just plain building. A big thing is getting these things lined up exactly how I want them. That's always the pain of doing stuff in the water. It doesn't have a snapping point. And what I mean by that is I could just place this anywhere, but I do have a kind of particular spots that I want it. I want to make sure that I can get enough in here to maybe get 2 pipes worth, if not as close as I can possibly get, while still leaving ourselves room for future pipe work that comes down this way. So I'm thinking maybe like another 2 to 3 this way. Let's start off with 3 and see where that gets us. And then we'll put in our first one like so. Yeah, I don't know. And then slap in a whole bunch of them on down this line. Well, I believe that's about as tight as I can get it without it clipping. We may have to adjust these around a little bit, but we'll see about that. Now, as far as the piping goes, the farthest one away, it needs to come out quite a bit. It needs to come out nice and straight if we can make it straight. Turn, and then head on to the end of the line. The same thing will happen with the other one. Now, I could overclock these and make tons of water, but personally, I don't want to use up a bunch of power shards and power on just water pumps and other things. We did power shard all of our stuff coming in as far as to make sure we get 600 when our belts can handle it. But as far as the water goes, I don't really want to do that. So we'll hook up 5 of these to each one water pipe, and that'll give us an even 600 water. And boom, just like that, plenty of water, 1200 water to be exact. And because of the fact that I still don't trust the wall holes, we did our normal trick where we put the pipeline supports right on the edge and then cover them with concrete. It kind of looks like a wall hole, but yeah, those things were glitchy in the past and I don't trust them. But all the water goes up. It's all pumped up with 2 pumps to get up to the top. So now it's time to actually wash those rocks and get so many pure ingots, it'll be unbelievable. All right, so how many things are we going to wash? Well, we have the quartz, we have iron, copper, and caterium. Those are all the things that are getting turned into something else. The oil and other processing, we could deal with that in a little bit. So for every 67.5 raw quartz that we have, we're going to need 37.5 water. That's a lot of water. Oh. Okay. For every 35 ore, we need 20 water. Uh-oh. For every 15, we need 10. That's not so bad. And for every 24, we need 24? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. We need a lot more water because we have plenty of materials coming in. We have over 1,200 quartz coming in. We have 1,800 iron ore. I think we're somewhere around nearly 1,000 copper and 600 caterium. All right, guys, so I had to step back and do a little bit of math to see how much water we're going to actually need. And oh my gosh, I'm not even close. So we're going to use about half of our quartz to make silica and half of it to make crystal quartz. So we're going to have about 9 refineries just for the crystal quartz. And that's at 37.5. That's going to be 337 water just for that. The next is the iron. Well, the iron is 1,800. Yeah, 1,800 iron. And we're going to need 20 water for each of those. So rounded, it's about 50 refineries at 20 apiece. That's another 1,000 water. On top of that, we need to purify all the copper, and that's about 600 water for that alone. And lastly is the caterium. And the caterium, well, it takes the most water, but we have the least of it. So it's 25 refineries at 24 water. That's another 600 water. That's a big number. Now we can subtract our 1,200 that we already have, and we basically need to double, more than double, our water output. And as we're getting tight on time, I'm gonna have to pop in the rest of this. So give me a few minutes while I think about this. I don't know about you, but I am really sick of the sound of water. But it is complete. All the water we could ever need, and then some. And I'm telling you right now, this water went about every different direction you could possibly think. Oh, I still have to paint those over there. Oh well. But it is completed, and yeah, it was a good time. But with all of the water completed and it's in its proper place, I went ahead and did all the refineries as well. Oh man, didn't we just do this? This many refineries like everywhere? Good lord. I didn't even have a blueprint for this. I had to make a whole new blueprint just for this. Ugh, mercy. I can't believe it. But we have everything ready. All of the raw materials getting processed into not its final product, but close to it. We have quartz being turned into quartz crystals, and then they'll be turned into silica as well in these constructors. Over here, we have some of our iron coming from over there, all the way through, and being turned into steel. I made this really cool foundry setup here. It's real compact, and I was able to squeeze it on like 3 tiles. That's a pretty compact setup if you ask me. This right here can fill up 2 480 lines pretty quickly, but we just don't have enough of the iron coming in because we'll need 600 iron to feed this monster. But we'll upgrade our belts probably sooner rather than later. And you might be wondering, what's with all this empty space? Well, I have plans for this, and it's top secret. But on the right here, you have all the copper refineries, every bit of them. And I didn't even use all the copper. I don't know if we're going to need it. This line spits out 2 full 480 lines. Now everything comes over here in this cacophony of awesomeness, and it was a bit of tricky to get it all belted the way I want, but it is working. But I think it's time to turn everything on, and all we have to do is connect this line to this one over here, and it should all come to life. Okay. Okay, it's all kind of working. Now, again, it won't be 100% efficient. The reason is we're banking on the whole 600 lines. Eventually, we'll get the 780 belts hooked up into these, and then we'll get our max production. But for now, it's all just going here. I see a little bit of everything. There should be some iron going this way to kick on the foundries. But in the meantime, all of the copper and everything else is working all right. But we really won't know if it's working until we grind up some points. Oh, please, belt gods, forgive me. So let's just grind up some points and see how much of this we actually have problems with. I can see we already have 2 belts that nothing is moving. Okay, why is that? These 2 belts are these 2 belts, and they would be the quartz and the silica. Where is my quartz? Did I forget to belt that over here? Are you kidding me? I totally forgot to belt that over here. Dang it, Pastato. Alright, so the quartz is hooked up, but it doesn't seem to be rolling like it should. I wonder why that is. Why isn't it going in here? Smart splitter? Are you kidding me? Gosh, dang it. Come on, Pastato. This is silly little mistake. It's inconvenient, but it's not terrible. The good thing is if you didn't know, you make a mistake like this, you could easily push control and swap out that conveyor splitter. I gotta do all of these? You gotta be kidding me. It was so ridiculous. I can't believe you did this. Okay, everything is fixed and everything is moving and grooving just like it's supposed to. Okay, crystal quartz are coming down the line. Now everything should be getting chewed up. Why is there a red light? Why is there a red light? No recipe? Golly. I swear, if I ever meet this Pastato, I'm gonna flick him so hard in the forehead. Alright, now with everything fixed, let's grind some more stuff. Okay, so everything should be moving pretty full belt. Now, we will probably have a little bit of hiccups here and there, but for the most part, we should have mostly full belts. The reason I say that is we're counting on this being 600 going into most of this stuff. So if we see some gaps, that's to be expected until we upgrade our belts. Once we upgrade the belts, we'll never have to worry about it. We'll have 780 stuff just flying everywhere. I based everything on 600. It just makes the most sense because that's what we can do with our miners and with our belts. Should have based it on 480, but nah. Future-proofing, that's what we're doing. But it does appear that everything is working and we are getting everything moving and grooving down here. As you can see, we are starting to get a few of the gaps, but shouldn't be too big a problem. Oh yeah, and I brought oil over here. I don't have it hooked up yet, but we'll do that in a future date. But for the most part, I think this is it. I think everything is moving as it's supposed to. And the floor is starting to look busy down here. So with basic smelting pretty much done, we can put a big ol' check mark on that. I'd say my storage and stuff, it's not quite done. We have a few more things to do here until this is completed. But as far as this episode, well, I think that's all we have time for today. If you want ways to support, go ahead and check out the links in the description. One is for Patreon. Support on Patreon helps get your name in the credits, and I'll name something after you in game if possible. The other is for Discord. Discord is free to join, and I would love to see you there as part of the community. Leaving a comment is a great way to engage. If you don't want to say anything, just leave an emoji, your favorite one. But as always, the best way to support is to like and subscribe, as it does help the channel out. Hit the notification bell so you can be alerted of any time any Satisfactory or any other content gets uploaded to the page. Hit one of the buttons on the screen right now to see what else we've played. And don't forget to keep gaming for the love of games. Bye now.